Hello, so this is my tutorial for a mug cozy organizer. I have an example here that I've made. I use it for separating my pens and my craft supplies because I like to have them on hand. So first, you'll need a mug. I just got this from Home Bargain. It's just about £1, but it's really cute, and it does have a pink handle, which is something to be aware of when you're making it. My other one doesn't. It is white, so I could use any colour for that. But in this case, because it's got a pink handle, I'm wanting to match that with a nice pink colour. As you can see, they're similar colours, so it should look good. Okay, so what you will need is your yarn. I am just using normal DK yarn, acrylic. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You're not putting anything in the cup. Apart from pencils and whatever else you want, but nothing hot, so it doesn't have to be cotton or anything like that. You will need some scissors. You will need a yarn needle or a tapestry needle and a crochet hook. I am just using a 4, which is the size recommended by my yarn. So yeah, if you're using thicker yarn, just go with what it says, but I would recommend using DK or finer, just because in this case in my previous one I have used a thicker yarn and there is not as much space. As you can see, it is pretty full. So the finer yarn you use, the more space you will have in the middle. Okay, first you're going to obviously slip knot and then chain 1, chain 2. Okay, then you are going to, now we're going to work in double crochet or single crochet for any Americans, and we're going to go into the first chain. And we're gonna double crochet. Now I'm gonna do 7 double crochet, but this is variable. If you prefer to do a larger or smaller amount, you kind of want about 5 to 10-ish. All we're doing is making a circle, so if you have a preferred way to make a circle, go with that. Just count what we've done. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then going to slip stitch into the first double crochet, or the chain if you can find it. And then what the next row is going to be is double crochet. Well, first you're going to chain and then double crochet twice into each stitch. Now you will notice I am crocheting around the short end of the yarn. This is just because I hate sewing. So this is, I feel, a way to tuck it in a way that secures it better and means I don't have to sew. So you'll probably notice I'm just having it in between when I go in the same place as the stitch that I'm going in. Okay, now we're going to slip stitch into the first chain and carry on. The next row is when you go 2 double crochet into one stitch and then 1 into the next, and then repeat that. Okay, and now we're going to slip stitch again. And don't worry about these little ends, we'll just cut them off. But yeah, next row is going to be a chain and then 2 double crochet and then 2 single double crochet, if that makes sense. So you're gonna go 2 in one stitch and then 1 in one stitch, 1 in the next stitch, and then repeat. Okay, and slip stitch, and then so this point you're not really going to be very close to the size of the bottom of your cup, which is what we're aiming for, but I do like to compare, just go 1 or 2 more rows. I'd say 2 rows. So next is chain 1, 2 double crochet in 1 stitch, and then 1 double crochet in the next 3 and repeat. Okay, so then, and just because I keep tugging my yarn into the shot, I'm just going to put it on my contraption that will keep it from doing that, and hope that it doesn't make too much noise. Okay, and then we slip stitch, and then so it says 1 or 2. Let's just check if it's going to be 2. Yeah, it's definitely going to be 2. And then we're going to chain 1 and then 2 double crochet, and then it is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 4? Yeah, 4. Sorry. So the way that I always tell if I forget, one thing you can do is count the rows. So this is our single row, this is our double row, this is 1, 2, this is 1, 2, 2, 2, and then this is 2, 3, and then this will be a 2, 4. But another way is you kind of, so we're going into the first of the stitches that we've done a double in last row, which means you count and you go, okay, I'm doing double here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another double. So yeah, there's that if you forget, like I just did. Okay, and now we're slip stitching again. Okay, and now is the point where I'm like, is this the size? So, first, you're going to compare it to the bottom. Yes, it's fitting the bottom nicely. And then the next step is just to place it at the bottom. To make sure we don't lose our stitch, we pull it out. And you see here, see how it fits nicely? I like to just pat it flat. There you go. Okay, that's perfect size. Okay, and now just put your needle in and pull it tight. Okay, the next row we are going to work in the back loop only. So most people know what that means, but for people who don't worry. You see these little V's for the stitches? Yeah. Then I'll just chain one, and then you just go into the one part of the V rather than both. And you just double crochet like normal. In this case we're back to singles, so this is just to help, because from this point on we're not working out, we're working up. So we don't need to add any stitches until we get to the outside of the cup. Okay, and then slip stitch and chain. Okay, and now we've done just that one small section. We are now, well, first of all, I'm just going to snip this because it's annoying me. There you go, nice and neat. And I'll just check the back as well. Okay, and there you go, that's all gone, so I don't need to do any sewing here. So next we're going to be doing a repeat until we reach the top of the mug. So this is going to be a lot of double crochet, just doing a normal row of single double crochet and slip stitch and chain and then carry on. So I'm just gonna fast forward this if I can figure out how to do that, and yeah, I will tell you how many rows I have done, but you might not have the same. It's just up to the top of the mug. Hello, so we just got back from making the rest of the inside, and I didn't mention this before, but once you get to the inside you then just go over until you reach the top of your handle. And you kind of see here, it's about 3 stitches for me, and it was 3 stitches last time. And what you're going to do is simply keep going with your single double crochets in each stitch. We're not increasing just yet, but you're just going to, rather than going in a circle, go 3 stitches before the end of your row and then turn around. I'll just show you an example, but yeah, I'll have to get it out of the cup to do that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. That's 3 stitches. So what we're just going to do is chain, turn around, and just go in. Now the way I'm doing it is I'm going to ignore the chains. I'm not going to go into them, and just go into all of my stitches. Which there is an alternate method, obviously, which you chain 1 and then you skip over your first stitch and then go into the last chain stitch at the end of the row. But I feel like that in this case doesn't lead to as straight of a line. So I'm just going to switch to sped up again, and I will see you about halfway down the handle. So we've made it halfway down the handle, as you can see, and you can see that it is a good size, because remember we're putting stuff in here, so it will kind of curve, so you do want it to be a little bit big as such, you know. So what we're going to do now is, instead of doing the chain 1, we are going to do a few different chains, as you can see here, to go around the button. This is optional. You don't have to do this if you don't want to have a button, but because you're doing some work down the bottom to secure it, but I prefer it with a button. I feel like it is just some extra security. Okay. Chain, and I would say another 2, and then we're done. So 8 chain. Sorry, that's not 8 chain, that is 10 chain. Excuse me. And then what we do is we just go straight back in and just double crochet. And that's an easy way to have the button loop without having to sew it in. Okay, I'm going to go back to sped up just to finish off, and I will meet you back at the bottom of the handle. So we are at the end of the handle. Now, the next section, there are two options depending on if you know how to do a chainless foundation or not. I do, so I prefer the method where you use that, but I'll just show you the method where you don't. Basically, you just have to chain 3 times, making sure they're fairly loose, slip stitch, and then go around like a circle and slip double crochet over these 3 chains, and yeah, slip stitch into your, obviously you chain 1 and then go into the next. But I was planning on using this one, but I have managed to go 1 row over where I wanted to be, and I don't want to pull it back. So here's how you do the chainless foundation version. Okay, we're here. We go back into the stitch that we just crocheted. We pull 1 through, and then we chain, and then you're going to pull through 2, and then you're going to go into the chain at the bottom, pull 1 through, and then chain again, and then pull through 2, and now you're going to go through and chain, okay, and now what you're going to do is really simply you're going to go back into your last chain and into the bottom of your chain for your opposite side. You're just going to pull through both and the top one, because we're not doing another chain. This is like our slip stitch. And we're just going to do a proper slip stitch as well, and then chain, and now we're going back into circle. So we're going to do I'll show you what it looks like with it on. Okay, so here it is on, and you can see it just goes around the bottom, and I can see from the space we're going to do this row and then 1 more, and then we're going to go back to the split and go up to make the pockets. And in that case, I'll see how I am, because as you can see here, it's quite wide, so I might get away with not doing any increases. But if it's quite close to your cup and not really stretching, you might want to do, say, 6 increases spread out over your circle, just so that you have, like, say, an extra double crochet, so it'll be a little bit wider, stretch more, and that will give you more space in your pockets to fit things in, and make it a nicer fit, basically. Okay, I'm gonna get to the 2 double crochet rows. Okay, so here we have finished the bit underneath the handle. So next bit is just going back to working straighter, which is fairly simple. We just miss out those 3 stitches that we created and work our way up. And don't forget to add the stitches depending on your fit of your cup. So I will film it sped up because you don't need to watch me crochet for half an hour doing the same thing. So I'll see you back then. Okay, so finished that. As you can see, we have the nice pocket all the way around. All that's left to do now is sew it. At this stage, you're going to need some thread, which I forgot to get out. I use this thread for the button and just use the yarn to sew in the pockets. So yeah, I'm going to try and cut it off with enough to do a few different routes. So here we go. I'm going to pull it through. Okay. Here we go, that's all cut off and ready to sew. So we're going to, because this is on the non-button side, we can sew this in. I want to sew the button on before I sew the rest on, just because that's easier. So let me grab one. Okay, so making sure it's recording, sorry about that. I've got my button and we're gonna sew it on here, just oops, sorry, about here. And I use this thread which is invisible, as you can see. It's really good. Unfortunately it doesn't go in the sewing machine, it just breaks, but it's great for like invisible hems and stuff like that. Okay, so I have sewed on the button. The next step is to sew from here down. First, however, there are a few tips. If you are going to have something like a really small crochet hook, it will slip out. So my top tip is just to have a small line of felt down or fabric down this row here to stop the small things from slipping out. But if you're doing just pencils or paintbrushes or something like that, you should be fine. I am doing this one for pencils, so I'm not going to bother with that, but my last one, which I did do for craft supplies, I did do that lining of felt. So next step is to also use my stitch markers and I'm going to do 7 pockets, I think. So I'm going to put these stitch markers in. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Turns out I was mistaken. But that looks about right. I might just add another one because I feel like this pocket's a little bit big and I can adjust it. Okay, there you go, 6 pockets. And now I'm going to just sew them up from where the markings are. Okay, I'll do this on fast forward again. That's me finished. As you can see, it is all done and ready to put stuff in. It will fit things nicely, as you can see. And yeah, this took me about 2 hours. But part of that was filming, so I'd say an hour and a half for an experienced person just because of how long it takes to crochet. It's not actually that difficult. I will be putting how many rows I did because I forgot to say it as I did, but I'll put it on the screen if I can, which will hopefully work out how to do. So yeah, good luck, crafters.